you, Mrs. Patterson. Surely you? I'm so glad to see you. The sight of you is good for sore eyes. I wish I had known. I would have gotten you something delish. But I guess it's the welcome that puts the good taste in the mouth. Now let me get you a great big bowl of sherbet. That would cool you off some. Shut up, I say, shut up! How can I play talk with you making so much racket? Hateful horned bird. Would you excuse me while I get out of these duds? I see on the society page that the fall season's going to be something, with the fox-hunted Bowling Green and the all-blue dance at the country club. My, I just love those all one-color affairs. Although last year's all orange dance made everybody look a little sickly. Paris is the playground of the world, and the Queen... Shut up, I say, shut up! Where was I when I was so rudely interrupted?
Hi there, Teddy. What you been up to all day?
Thinking and talking. Mostly talking to myself.
That's your main occupation. Always thinking. Thinking to make you grow old too quick and sprout wrinkles, girl.
Come on, then. Let's play a few fast hands of blackjack as usual to pass away the time. I better get these greens on before Mama comes home. Come on, Willie B. Help me pick these greens. I should have had them on long ago, but it don't take long for them to cook. People cook their greens too long anyway. If I see any more greens, I'll turn into them.
I like them.
Willie B., wouldn't it be nice if we had a whole acre of corn and tomatoes?
Not to say nothing of all that okra and radishes and young scallion.
Be nice if we had a fruit orchard, too.
I wonder what an orange tree looks like.
Must be pretty.
What else you having?
Same old thing. Greens and cornbread. Willie B., wouldn't it be nice if we had a whole lot of money and could take a trip to Chicago and... There goes that plastic jaybird. He's been making so much racket all day, I can't think of doing... I almost hit him.
Hey, you better not hit the devil's friend, girl. They're the wickedest birds on earth, is a well-known fact.
How come they make so much racket? They're worse than an old woman.
They torment it, that's what. Every Friday, all the jaybirds visits hell to take a grain of sand of the devil to burn the dead with.
Willie B., you try to know so much. Sometimes I get to listening to you, I get carried away by all your talk. If you're the devil's friend, why you hang around here so much? Besides, ain't no such thing as the devil, Mama says. All the devil is a kind of spirit that gets into people.
He gets into people, all right, one way or another. I hear tell of people who would sell a soul to the devil for as little as a gold watch.
Boy, that ain't nothing but talk. If there was anything to that, you'd have yourself a gold watch right now. Or an automobile like you're always talking. You know so much. How do you go about selling yourself to the devil?
Well, I hear tell. If you cross one hand over the other when the moon is full, and raise them both above your head and spit 7 times to the east and 7 times to the west, the devil will appear to you to give you anything you want or any kind of power.
Boy, that ain't nothing but talk. If there was anything to that, I'd sell myself to him. Go to one of Mrs. Patterson's teas.
I'd just as soon sell myself for an automobile. Get out of this place. Speed up the road to Chicago.
You and me both. Boy, what are you looking at me like that for? Ever since you went off to Chicago to visit with your uncle, you've had a real dreamy look.
Well, maybe I ain't woke up yet.
Come and tell me some more about your Chicago trip.
I told you just about everything I know about it.
Well, I could hear about Chicago forever. I never grow tired of it, even though it ain't all true.
Well, you take that night I was at the Dreamland Cabaret.
The Dreamland Cabaret?
Yeah, it was lit up like it was day, but it was night. The music was coming from everywhere, like there was no one place where it started and no one place where it stopped. Like a shimmering globe all around you. People bawling the jack and eagle rocking to beat the band. And the women. The women was dressed like everything in spangles, silks, and furs, and shoes.
And you snuck in that fine place?
Yeah, then the lights got real dim and the people got just as quiet. And onto the dance floor in a kind of curious pink light stepped Bessie Bolt, the queen of the blues.
The queen of the blues?
Yeah, and the queen of the blackjack parlors to boot, because when she wasn't singing, she passed her time gambling and rolling around in a great big car.
I bet she got rich.
Honey, rich ain't the worst. Especially when she started cavorting around with that gambler they called the Night Farmer. She got lousy rich.
Night Farmer?
Oh, he came by that name pretty natural, girl. You see, besides dealing in trick cards and dice. He hijacked hats, furs, silks, and bootleg liquor. Believe me, that's night farming.
Really, Bee? Every time you tell that tale, it gets better and better. Come on, let's play some blackjack.
Oh, I get tired of playing for matches, girls. The one thing I hate is a struck match with nothing to light.
If I was a boy...
Huh?
I say if I was a boy, I would have been long gone from here, long ago.
I ain't all that easy going up. You gotta prepare.
That Riley boy didn't. Did he prepare?
No, you just up and walked on out.
All you need is a little nerve. If you got any nerve, you just go on up.
Hello there, will it be? Diddy, here's another 50 cents to add to your high school money.
Pretty soon that job'll be running over.
How much we got saved now?
Oh, almost $20. Don't you want me to put the rest of your money in the trunk?
No, that 50 cents is the all of it. I broke some of Mrs. Patterson's sherbet dishes, and she took it out of my tray.
I'll be damned.
How did Mrs. Patterson's tea go today, Mama?
Oh, right nice.
Who was there?
Oh, just them rich Embry girls.
I was reading about them in the papers today. They're Southern belles. Real aristocrats.
They must all have been born in the summertime.
How's that?
Well, they're named June, Fern, and Rose. They're right cute little things and real nice. They made a pretty picture sitting on the lawn, sipping their tea.
What did they have on?
Oh, thin organdy.
I bet I can guess the colors.
What colors?
Yellow, pink, and green.
I believe you're right.
I bet Miss Patterson was dressed fine.
She was. I'll never forget that hat and that lavender dress. Lord, it was something to gaze upon. It was caught up at the side with a black velvet bow this big, and it had over 100 buttons running down the back. Anybody button her in should have no other job this day.
What did they talk about?
Oh, about their travels and who they know. Just small talk.
But didn't they play cards or nothing, just talk?
They played whist again, and Mrs. Patterson was really winning. The Embry girls got a little bit suspicious when they saw an ace laying on the lawn by Mrs. Patterson's foot. And to tell the truth, it looked a little peculiar to me.
I always think of Mrs. Patterson like a plump, squeezy sachet, sitting there all by itself, smelling sweet. She wouldn't get old like anybody else and die someday. She'd just keep sitting and maybe turn yellow and thin like old paper. Dry, yellow and thin, and just crumble away into some fine yellow dust. I love Mrs. Patterson, and I don't know why. You don't need a reason when you love like I love Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. She looks like a rainbow when she's dressed up fit to kill. And even though you say no, I'm sure I always will love Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. She's so sweet and sentimental. Kiss fall easy on her cheek. She can be serene and gentle, then turn around and keep things popping for a week. Although Mrs. Patterson's the power that be, I've never seen Mrs. Patterson, but I'm sure she'd love me. Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson. Mrs. Patterson.
Here, Mrs. Patterson sent you some cookies.
Oh, I wonder how she come to think of me. What one will it be?
Ain't it good?
They're rich.
They ought to be good. They cost $3.50 a pound, more than I get in a week.
Tastes like they got whiskey in them.
They're rum cookies. Now, don't eat them all up now. Save some till after supper.
Willie B., you'll have to help me get a Courier Journal so as I can read upon Mrs. Patterson's affair for the Southern Bells. Remember last year when they gave that all-literary book review party?
You still carrying that foolishness around?
Myths and legends was the subject of the program given yesterday at the meeting of the Dixie Book Circle in the beautiful home of Mrs. Bridget Patterson. We were thrillingly told of Sylvanus, a Latin divinity of the fields and forests, also called the protector of the boundaries of fields. Sylvanus was further described as a divinity protecting the flocks of cattle, and the sacrifices offered to him consisted of grapes, ears of corn, milk, meat, wine, and pigs.
All that reading at a party?
Oh, boy. Late in the afternoon, Mrs. Patterson ushered her guests into the dining room where the tea table was presided over by Mrs. Hobson, who served coffee, and Mrs. Chloe Sparks served chicken salad.
Well, you carry on about anything concerns Mrs. Patterson. Folks will think you ain't just right in the head.
One day I'm going to give me a tea, and when... Not you! Mama, did she use the Dresden or the Spode today?
I was to a tea up in Chi once.
A tea in Chicago?
Yeah, it was a tea, all right, only they didn't have no tea, just gallons and gallons of red punch.
Willie B., a lie's tongue is long enough to cut his own throat. Hetty, ain't I told you to stay out of this trunk 100 times? First thing you know, you'll have on that silk dress Mrs. Patterson gave you, playing woman. You're a child. Do you hear me?
I wish I was a grown woman.
What do you want to be grown for?
As soon as I can go off to some big city on my own. I get so tired of doing nothing, seeing nothing. All I like about this place is to hear the B&O freighter whistle blow at night.
Oh, you'll be grown before you know it. School will be open in 2 or 3 weeks.
Shoot. School.
Children need all the education they can get to keep folks from cheating them and making fools of them, especially the girls.
I've been going.
What I want to tell you, Teddy, is this. When I wasn't much older than you are now, that was how I want my child to have her education.
How are you going to learn any knowledge in that little old school? Shoot. The teacher didn't even pass the grades. Them children ain't learning more than that jaybird. I know the reading book backwards, but I wouldn't know that if I didn't take it on myself.
Now, don't swell up with self-pride. Here comes that Aunt Matt Cressy again with all that wild talk about the devil and hell. Teddy, go to the well and get me some water.
That Aunt Matt Crosby is always preaching. She ain't nothing but an old thief.
You don't know that.
The devil is up with the night, and he's after all sinners. Have you been saved? Have you been saved from hell's fire? Good evening, Anna. How are you?
Oh, pretty well. Had a hard day. Mrs. Patterson had another tea.
The rich and the poor, they're all alike, sinning all over the place. All these teas. Well, hell's fire's for the rich as well as the poor.
Willie B., come and help me with the pail. The rope's stuck.
I hope he ain't helping your child in no other way, Anna Hicks.
Oh, no, Aunt Matt.
I say keep your eyes open and your heart closed to sin. Well, I just stopped by for a spell to see how you was. I'm on my way down to Minnie's before dark. She's real sick.
Aunt Matt, I'm worried about Teddy. Sometimes when she's talking, something curls into her eyes and gives them a haunted look.
I don't see why you let Willie B. take up so much time with Teddy. He's just full of lies about Chicago. First thing you know, she and he will be in with the devil, and they will draw lightning. Remember when that very tree there got struck when you...
Ain't no such thing as getting in with the devil. I don't believe the devil's real, Aunt Matt. Just some kind of spirit.
Miss Anna, those greens sure smell good.
Why don't you stay for supper, Willie B.? We got plenty every month.
Sure, we got plenty. Aunt Matt, why don't you stay for a bite?
No, I gotta get on down the road to Minnie's. I don't want to be caught out after dark. Else children are on the march. And them greens do smell good.
Come on and stay, Aunt Matt. I'll walk down to Minnie's with you after we eat.
Well, guess I'll stay for a bite or so. Ain't so hungry, but I sure love mustard.
You're more than welcome. Teddy, set the table.
Can we eat in the yard, Mama?
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Come on, Willie B. Help me put this table under the tree in the yard. It's like having a tea party when you eat on the lawn. Mrs. Patterson always entertains on the lawn in the summer. And when I'm grown, I'm going to entertain on the lawn. And I'll be dressed for the occasion, too.
Gold and red with spangles on it to reflect the sun.
No, I don't take to red. I'll be dressed in pea green or sky blue. Oh, this regular food is so samey.
The Lord make you thankful for what you're about to receive.
I wish we were eating like rich folks. Pheasant with cider sauce and glazed sweet potatoes and sweet peas, no bigger than that. And jello shaped like a great big rose, boiled custard with cream on it. That thick.
Yeah, little cake shaped like playing cards.
Pheasant with cider sauce. Dear Lord, bless this humble food we're about to partake to nourish our bodies. Amen. Amen.
I tasted steak once. Mama brought me a piece from one of Mrs. Patterson's anniversary parties. She sent me these cookies.
They're tasty.
They should be. They cost $3.50 a pound. And they got rum in them.
The devil's own doings.
Ever since I can remember, she's been harping about the devil.
Teddy, don't you talk like that.
Well, I ain't got nothing against the devil. I wouldn't mind knowing him.
Maybe you think you'd rather know the devil than me. But not if you've seen him in his real form.
You're so old-fight smart, I suppose you've seen him.
Teddy Hicks, what's wrong with you? I'll give you a whipping you won't forget. Now apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aunt Nat.
Now eat your supper.
I've seen the devil once. I swear to God and hope to die. I laid eyes on the devil.
Where did you see the devil and when?
Well, I was on my way down to Cox's store one Saturday night. Moon was bright as day. Just before I got to the gully, I saw a man sitting on a rock, and I heard the prettiest singing ever. Well, when I got close up on him, I noticed sparks flying all around his head, and the singing wasn't coming out of his mouth at all. He wasn't even moving his lips.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, I said to myself, this must be the devil. By this time, I was getting pretty scared, so when I passed him, I said, "Good evening, Mr. D. Pretty night, ain't it?" He just nodded his head. Yeah. By this time, I started running a little. Just before I got to the hill, I looked back. You know what he was doing when I looked back?
No, what?
He was throwing little pieces of lightning out of a bag he was carrying. And all at once, he started cutting his toenails with a great big pair of scissors. He smiled at me and waved.
He sounds all right to me.
Willie B., you're a good tale teller. Old Satan sounds like real fun.
Sounds like that old road peddler used to go by here.
Why, Aunt Nat, you eating those rum cookies after all.
That's what I get for listening to the lie you just told. Lord, the night is upon us, and Minnie's is more than a piece from here. But my work is calling me. Come on, Anna.
Now, don't stay around and talk all evening, Teddy. Get them dishes washed before I get back and get the yard sprinkled down. The dust is blowing everywhere. Mind me now.
Willie B., did you really see the devil?
Certainly. He had the kindest eyes you ever seen and a black coat covered with all sorts of buttons. The prettiest buttons ever. It was real nice compared to Aunt Mat's devil.
I'd give anything if I could see him. Anything. Well, good night now, Willie B.
I sure did enjoy those mustards. They were as tender as the night that's coming.
I sure wish I could have more of your company, Willie B. I feel kind of queer after all that devil talk. Willie B.
Ah, shoot, girl. I'll see you tomorrow, here.
One day I'm gonna get out of this place. I'm gonna take myself far away from here. I might go to Chicago or London or Paris. Ain't no telling where I might go. I'm gonna give me a tea to outdo Mrs. Patterson. I'll be on the front page of the Society Journal and no telling where I'm. I wish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Woo-wee! Who are you?
I'm Mr. D. And you?
My name's Teddy.
I'm pleased to know you, Teddy. Can I sell you anything, man? I sell for nothing. You know, I got almost anything you ever heard of.
Mighty tempted to steal it. But I didn't know if I'd be getting in league with you. What'd you say your name was?
Mr. D. Where'd you get that no-count hair ribbon? I got a better hair ribbon right here. Oh, that ribbon came all the way from Bigelow.
Bigelow? Is that a big city?
The biggest ever, undoubtedly. And the most heavily populated of all.
Tell me about some of the places you've been and seen. I bet you've been most every place. Have you ever been to any dancing places?
Have I been to any dancing places? Child, you ask. Take that night into Dreamland in Chicago.
Oh, that must have been wonderful.
Ah, it was. That was the night, Teddy, when me and Miss Bessie Bolton, we danced our feet right out of our shoes.
This Bessie Bolt must have been something.
Yes. Oh, Bessie sure was a sight for all to see.
Why, poor Bessie?
Well, she got out of hand.
What did she do?
She started gambling. Now, I don't mind a little gamble now and again, but of all the vices, I can't stand a greedy gambler. Well, this Bessie Bolt came into Jim Tansy's hall one night, placed a few gold dollars on the table, turned to the card caller and said, "Deal me a card. I'm playing for blood tonight." Well, the dealer dealt a natural jack, and Bessie jumped aside and said, "Hit me," and hit me hard. And when the dealer hit her with the ace of spades, she said, "Double stack," and let it ride. Well, by morning, that Bessie owned Jim Tansy's very pants. Now, the people in my league, they got to stick together. And Tansy being one of the special boys in my league, asked me to touch Bessie for a loan. Bessie wouldn't stand for it. She told me to go straight to hell. I said, "Bessie, do you know who you talking to?" She said, "Yes, and that ain't shivering my spine." And with that, she gathered up her gold and left, slamming the door in my face. Well, nobody never slammed no door in my face before, never. So I fixed her.
How'd you do that?
Well, Bessie wasn't so bad way down deep. So I just condemned her to spend most of her natural life in some old tree.
Just for playing the little cards? How'd you get all that power? I bet you ain't nothing but just some little road peddler who knows a little magic.
What do you bet? What do you bet?
No, I gotta get these dishes done. What's that noise I hear? Sounds like gold dollars falling out of the tree.
Do you bet? Do you bet?
Don't bet 'em, honey. You're bound to lose. Bessie Bolt's my name. I used to could count 1,044, but now I can only count to 3. What's your name?
My name's Teddy.
I wish I was a bumblebee. I'd fly right out from this old tree. I used to could count to 1,044, but now I can only count to 3. Due to this magnolia tree, look what gold has done to me. Stack 'em high, stack 'em low. I can't roam this earth no more.
She does sing fine, I can tell that.
What do you do for food?
Now, don't you worry about that. I'm doing all right. I got me a little man that brings me plenty to eat. That just reminds me. He's due here with my supper along about any minute now.
Who is the lucky man?
He's a night farmer. His name is Sylvanus.
Sylvanus? Well, that's a name for you.
What you laughing at? Irregardless of his name, he's some rich. I wonder what's keeping him. I'm hungry. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I used to could count to 1,044, but now I can only count to 3.
Good evening, Bessie.
Oh, Sugar Plum, how come you so late with my supper? That ain't like you.
I'm sorry, honey. I got so busy with my bees and my glowworms, I clean forgot how late it was. Now, here's something to tempt your palate.
Oh, Sugar Pie, you sure is good to me. Honey Lamb, I'm getting kind of tired of this samey old food. Wish I was eating some of them tender mustard greens instead of this pheasant and glazed sweet potatoes and avocado supreme and little sweet peas.
I tasted steak once.
Oh, Sylvanus, honey, I forgot to introduce you to these people here. Now, that's Mr. D over there. You know, the one I was telling you about?
Good evening, Sylvanus.
My pleasure, Mr. D.
And that's Teddy.
It's a pleasure to know you, Teddy.
How you do?
It's a nice night for daydreaming, isn't it?
Yeah, moon's bright as day. Listen, I hear you some rich.
Yes, there ain't no richer.
Might I ask how you come by all this wealth?
I'm a night farmer, that's how.
But how does that make you some rich?
Well, one part of my wealth comes from crossing the bees with the glowworms, so that the bees can see at night and gather more honey. Why, I've got the finest honey in the world.
You don't say.
But the biggest part of my wealth comes from raising fur-bearing chickens that I send to people at the North Pole. They've got a powerful longing for plump, fur-bearing chickens that can't withstand the polar cold.
And you do all this at night?
Well, that's the best time, Teddy. Now, let's see. I ship down snow from up north and make me a superior snow ice cream. And I also specialize in flocks of black sheep with just one little white one. There's lots to night farming.
Does it look like you done all right for yourself up in that tree?
And then I got me the natural descendants of the goose that lays a golden egg. They lay eggs of gold and silver and a mixture of sequins and rhinestones.
If I had all your money, I'd be long gone from here.
What do you do to pleasure yourself when you ain't night farming?
Well, with Bessie here, I stay well entertained. Of course, now and then I play a little game of cards with the boys.
What kind of cards do you play?
Well, I play West, Lynch, Georgia Skin, Fives Up, and Blackjack.
Sweetie Pie, why didn't you engage Mr. D in a quiet little game of blackjack?
I don't mind a little quiet game blackjack now and again, as long as nobody gets greedy.
I ain't saying no.
Well, I ain't got but just this to lose.
That's plenty. We'll cut the deal.
Mr. D, can I play? Well, he made me play blackjack all the time.
No, how you gonna play? You ain't got the money. You sit here and watch.
Oh, let her play, Mr. D. Here, honey. Here's something to start you off with.
Thank you, Miss Bob.
Okay, then. As long as you know how to play. Deuce.
Ace.
Deuce.
Well, I get the deal.
You don't suffer so bad for a country boy.
Oh, thank you, Mr. D. Thank you. Now place your bet.
That's two.
I bet 6.
Now 6 it is. Here we go. Got to hit.
It's
Hit
fine
me.
to see them cards
Fast
fall. I love to hear that
enough.
hard slide. Hit it hard.
21.
Oh,
21,
your
that's
money.
Bet's on the table.
I bet two.
I let it ride, honey.
I let it ride.
Now you play.
How's it suit you?
Blackjack.
Your money.
Hit me.
Well, your deal, Teddy. Now I bet 5. Can you cover
I
it?
can cover up to 20.
I bet 10.
Okay,
Now, this tells
here we
me.
go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Blackjack.
Take your money, honey.
You some blackjack dealer. At this rate, you'll be able to buy some of my notions for something.
No, if my luck stays, I'm going to save my money and do some traveling or have a tea.
Now play like it,
Okay.
Teddy.
No, I double my bet. 20.
I'll make it 40. That finishes up the pot.
All right, here we go. 1,
Watch close,
2,
Teddy, now.
3. 1, 2, 3.
This girl shows card talent.
Blackjack.
I used to could count to 1,044, but now I can only count to 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1,
Don't see how many can last. She ain't no bigger than a sparrow and got no more appetite.
I'll make a little egg bread and some green soup tomorrow.
Well, be nice and Christian, Aviana.
Now sit yourself down and catch hold of your breath. Teddy, what you counting?
Katydids and frogs. It's enough to drive you crazy. Jaybirds, katydids, frogs. The samey place.
Samey or not, this is home. Now get on with them dishes.
I could only do something. Go someplace. Anything, anything.
This is the most restless girl child I ever did see, Anna.
Child, I'm no child.
Well, you ain't grown yet. You're just betwixt.
You don't have to be as old as Methuselah to be grown.
You're so smart. I guess when you do grow up, you'll want to be one of them uppity know-it-all teachers.
Indeed not. I told you what I wanted to be would throw you both for a fit.
I hope to my soul it ain't one of them sinful blues singers.
What do you want to be, Teddy?
When I grow up, I want to be a rich white woman. I wish bumblebee. I'd fly right out of this old tree. I used to count to 1,044. Now I can only count to 3.
Baby, that's a real sad song you're singing.
Maybe it's sad, maybe it's glad. Depends on how you sing it.
Sounds like one of them river country songs. Where'd you ever pick up the tune?
I made it up.
Oh, Teddy Hicks.
I made it up last night.
Oh, your mind runs like a clock, baby, only faster.
Yeah, I guess it do. But if I didn't have my mind's eye, I'd
What's
just...
a mind's eye?
Oh, something that goes on inside you.
I understand. Everybody given to a little private dreaming every now and then, and everybody entitled to.
Mama, I dream just about every minute of the day. You don't think that's a sure sign I'm touched?
Of course you ain't. Wasn't your papa a dreamer before you? I do a little bit more myself sometimes, but don't catch myself.
Mama, why is it you never talk about Papa?
Ain't much to say about Sammy.
You must have it in for him, all right. Him going off and leaving us without a straw.
No, I don't feel so sad. People oughtn't to get sad if something is lost to them. A person, a joy, or a happiness.
Did you love him very much?
Every part of me loved that man. His face was round like an apple, teeth white like buttermilk. He had big, dreamy eyes, like a sleeping dog.
He looked that good?
Spitting image of you.
Mama, do you think if we went to Chicago, we could find him just as he stopped on one of them street corners to look at his watch?
Chicago? What are we going to use for money? Money thinks I'm dead and buried, and may be right. Well, Cousin Minnie's done took a turn for the worse, I hear. Just get down there right away. Take her a little something.
Mrs. Naomi Birdie Hicks. My mama's mom. Passed on now. She was the richest woman in these parts. She had acres and acres. She ran a night farm. Hicks. But that's my mama's last. I wonder. This dress was made all by hand. My mom's gonna make it over for my graduation.
Hey, Teddy. Teddy, what you doing? Playing peekaboo? Good night. What you doing in that dress, girl?
That dress. It's my grandmama's wedding gown.
But what you doing in it?
Oh, I'm just trying to see what I look like.
Oh, I couldn't come across a Courier Journal, so I bought you that town paper about the thing down at Mrs. Patterson's yesterday. Pure silk and nothing else. Teddy, if I didn't know your real age, I'd take you for a nice grown-up dress like that. Let me get a good look at you. Feast my eyes. Now stand still over there.
All right, mister?
All right. Why, you look just like...
Like what, Willie B?
Oh.
What was you gonna
Now,
say?
Teddy, stand still. Teddy, I'm warning you. Stand still. Swear to God, I'd kiss you if it
Why
wasn't.
don't you?
Now, Teddy, listen to me.
I look all right, huh?
All right. You look just like a peach.
You wouldn't kid me now.
You do.
Well, you can kiss me on the cheek if you like.
Uh-uh.
I scare you all?
No, somebody might be watching.
Well, let 'em watch. What did a girl peck on the cheek? I don't care about nothing. This samey place day in, day out makes me sick. Willie B, I changed my mind. I changed my mind. Where's the account of Mrs. Patterson's affair for the 7th? First of the summer debutantes to make their bow were June Rose and Fern Embry, who met Mrs. Bridget Patterson yesterday at her home for tea. On the terrace, the newest rage, the phonograph played Viennese waltzes throughout the afternoon. The Mrs. Embry will wind up the social world with a 2-week stay at Birtwood's in the mountains of North Carolina. Next summer, they planned another jaunt to Europe. Thanks for bringing this, Willie B.
If I live and nothing happens by the time fall rolls round, I'll be gone from here. Catch the B&O freighter when it stops for water at the junction. Jump in the first open car and off to the north.
Off to the... Willie B, if you go, I'll go with you.
You're just talking to hear yourself talk.
No, I ain't. I'm serious. We could take a trip.
So Willie B ain't sitting in the hollow smoking willow twigs. No, indeed. He's packing up his traps to go traveling.
How long you been snooping around?
Downside. What are you doing in that dress?
Oh, you tend your own business.
Why you always butting around?
Shut your viper tongue. Getting Teddy all ready to run off with you.
We were just play talking that mad.
Play talking. Wait till your ma hears what
Teddy, I'm going. I got
Stand still and act respectful.
I told you we were just play talking.
Play talking, my eye. First thing you know, you and Willie B will be mooning it. And you ought to know better. But I guess you got your papa's way.
You don't know nothing about my dad, and if you do, keep it to yourself.
Always plucking that old guitar of his. All the women after him, begging for those low-down songs.
You shut up.
Not counting you, ain't no telling how many young'uns he's got scattered around.
Why don't you go on, Aunt Matt?
Left Anna before you could as much as crawl, and without his name.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself telling that to Teddy, even if everybody around here knows it. You call that righteous? Don't pay no mind, Teddy.
I ain't heard nothing.
Takes more than tears to wash away sin. But the good Lord knows how you treat me. And my crown is marked and stored in heaven. I'm a good and righteous woman.
Don't feel no mind, Teddy.
I bet her daddy was an old alligator.
I don't feel bad about it. Why, there's been famous bastards. That's a two-way word. Why, there's been lots of bastards and with fathers, too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Look, I'll go on down to the store and get you a bottle of cold pop, huh?
No, it's too far.
It won't take me long.
Well, on second thought, a bottle of pop would be appreciated.
Okay.
Guess I better get out of this dress before Mama comes home.
Don't take it off, Teddy. There's going to be a party.
Everybody knows about me. Everybody.
Mrs. Patterson don't know, honey. Mrs. Patterson don't know.
Good evening, Teddy.
Oh, good evening yourself.
What are you doing all dressed up?
Oh, I might give myself a tea this evening. Except who in the world would I invite?
Well, some of the local ladies would be by, I guess. And a fine evening it is for tea, too. Is your mind's eye in good form this evening?
Yeah, always.
All right, then. Light the wish in your heart. Light the wish in your heart. And dream. Dream down deep into the mind's eye.
I am.
Your mind's eye is working, Teddy. Now dream it.
What's that noise I hear?
Sounds like some folks coming this way.
Oh, I can't make out who it is, but by the finery they're wearing, they're real rich and aristocratic. Lordy be, if it ain't Miss Patterson. She's coming here. What must I do, Mr. D?
Now you just take it very cool and leave everything to me.
Good evening, Miss Patterson.
Good evening, Teddy. I apologize for not coming over sooner. My, what a lovely sight you are in that fine silk dress.
Thank you, Miss Patterson. My, but you smell sweet.
You think so? Essence of magnolias. I'll brew it myself. Remind me to send you some. What gracious notes you write, Teddy. But there was no necessity to thank me for those little old rum cookies. The scent of honeysuckle. The most imposing shade tree I ever saw. And Hicks Manor itself, I've been longing and longing to see it. Such spacious rooms and those fine high ceilings. He looks familiar.
Oh, excuse me. That's Mr. D.
How do you do?
Well, I dream, don't you?
Oh, I think it's the most high-toned thing you can do.
Why, Mrs. Patterson, you look like a giant summer butterfly.
You think so? Well, it's so hot. I dress down consciously. Oh, those Embry girls, they never leave me be. They've been chasing me all over the place.
I'm just dying to meet them.
And they're just dying to meet you, too, honey. Go. Now, Teddy, you must allow me to introduce you to the Embry girls. This is Rose.
I'm Rose.
And Fern.
I'm Fern.
And June.
I'm June.
And this is Miss Teddy Hicks.
It's a delight to meet you, honey. It's very nice to meet you, too. I've heard so much about you. Why, just today I was reading in the papers about your social world.
Oh, the social world is awful for them.
It keeps us warm. Would you ladies like to partake of some tea? Why, yes. Thank you, honey.
Oh, it's so tiring to be light-hearted and gay in this heat.
Maybe you ladies would like to have it iced instead of hot.
No, we never take it iced. It's just not done, you know.
So glad you like it hot. I was just dying to show off my Dresden.
I was just admiring it. Such a fine pattern, thin as paper. So truly luxurious.
I use Bode mostly in the summer, not so heavy as Dresden.
My, what a fine silver pot.
I like it.
It has such a delicate, beautiful treatment on it. It truly has.
That's why we don't use it much in the summer. I'm afraid it might get broken.
Well, let's not limit the subject to priceless gems and silver pots. We ought to be thankful we're Southern ladies, born and bred to the art of conversation.
Miss Patterson, I'd just love to hear some of your small talk.
You would? Well, just how small would you like it, honey?
Oh, just itsy-bitsy, as long as it's aristocratic.
Girls?
This heat, no breeze. Thank heavens for organdy.
I never intended getting caught here this late in August.
Teddy, why don't you come to the mountains of North Carolina with us next week? I was just going to make that suggestion myself. The air in the mountains is as clear and as cool as a whistle, sugar.
I was just thinking, what a wonderful city Chicago is.
Love Chicago. Like New York better.
Of course, it ain't as pretty as Paris or London.
Now, Teddy, don't tell me you've been to Paris and London.
Why, Miss Patterson, would it surprise you if I told you I've been on every continent of this world and on every island, too?
When did you go on this big trip, honey, and how?
I went with my mom and daddy on their honeymoon.
You must have been awful young.
Not too young to remember, though. I remember just as well that fine morning we pulled into London. All the bells were ringing from the many towers. And no sooner as we got there, it started to rain to beat the band. Then the rain turned blue, then silver, then it turned to music and began to go trip, trap, trip, trap.
You certainly do tell it nice.
Indeed. Now, Teddy, have you ever seen the English Channel?
Why, Miss Patterson, you have to cross it to get to Paris.
Paris. Now, there's a city.
Especially that leaning tower.
That dear leaning tower.
But, Sugar, how'd you ever get so much traveling done at your age?
We just kept going.
Your father must have been something to take you and your mother clean across the world about.
What do you mean must have been? My daddy still is. Oh, my daddy is a dandy in the richest kind of sense. And he keeps up his appearance at no matter what expense. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy. Oh, my daddy's been a dandy ever since his early youth. With the heart as full of gold as almost every single tooth. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy.
when he wanders round Chicago in his shiny Oxford shoes. Every other so-called dandy gets a sudden fit of blues. Why, there's nothing about my daddy that's just not the very best. Who else in Illinois has a hand-brocaded vest? You can play a game of checkers on his golden meeting suit. Yep, my daddy is a dandy and a relative to boot. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy. Just a chip off Daddy's diamond is enough to make you blink, and nobody else's stockings are a lighter, brighter pink. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy. He wears rubies that are big enough to swallow a rich man's chest. When he picks his cup of coffee up, his fingers pointing west. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy. When he's really out cavorting, you just ought to see him go. Why, just standing on the corner, he's a one-man minstrel show. Why, there's always something doing at no matter where he is. And no one's got a stick pin with a pearl as big as his. Why, I often love to dream of him and wonder what he's found. Yep, my daddy is a dandy, even though he's not around. He's a dandy, and I do love a dandy. Who's a daddy and a dandy too.
I wonder where the breeze is hiding. I declare, it's getting hotter by the minute.
Well, since we're talked at, I think we'd better be going,
Oh, I wish
Teddy.
you wouldn't rush off, Mrs. Patterson. I was just enjoying your company.
Yes, but it's getting
If I
late.
might interrupt you, ladies, and I hope you don't think I'm meddling.
What a genteel manner he has. You're not.
Well, why don't you ladies stay and enjoy yourselves in a nice card game? Have you ever heard of blackjack?
Did I hear somebody say blackjack?
Land sakes, what are you doing up there?
Did you ever?
Who in the world are you?
Don't pay her no mind. Just the word blackjack calls her. She's an old blackjack expert.
The best that ever played it, if I do say so myself. You ladies wouldn't stand a chance against me.
Oh, Teddy, this is novel.
Well, come on now, let's all get on with the game. You ladies sit and cut for deal.
Oh, no, really, I don't think I ought to play. Isn't blackjack a kind of a common game, rather? Oh, well, so long as no one hears about it.
Now call your cards, ladies.
Ace, Jack, Queen, Ten.
Your deal, Mrs. B.
Now, what interests me is that woman in the tree.
Oh, that's Miss Bolt. Miss Bolt, this is Mrs. Patterson, and Miss Rose Byrne, and June Embry.
I declare to goodness gracious, I sure am proud to meet you ladies.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Blackjack.
Damn.
Now, money on the table, girls, if you please. Here we go. Oh, blackjack again.
Oh, do you declare?
Got two blackjacks in a row.
Oh, just like picking up money in the streets. Now, here we go, girls. All bets down. Oh, blackjack.
Did you ever in your life?
Never.
Your deal again, Mrs. B. You'll soon tire yourself out with dealing.
You said it. Now, tell me more about this Bessie Bolt person.
Oh, she's of age. You can ask her.
Well, Miss Bolt, how come you're out in that tree?
This is fine country. And let me tell you something, Mrs. Bridget Patterson. If you ain't careful, you're going to be sitting right up here with me.
How's that, pray?
Well, I ain't talking.
Oh, I declare she's trying to be unpleasant. Blackjack!
You're a real expert, honey.
Mrs. Patterson, you want me to hold that ace for you?
What ace?
That ace you keep hiding in the bow of your hat.
Miss Patterson, don't tell us you've been cheating.
Indeed not.
What's this ace doing here?
I could give you a hint, my honey.
Oh, well, that must have gotten there by accident.
Miss Patterson, it's plain you have right smart brains to let them be going to seed in our head, you mean. We're not blind. You were cheating, honey.
Indeed I wasn't. How can you say that?
Well, in any case, we'd like our money back.
Over my dead body.
Miss Patterson, I'm asking you politely. Will you give me back the money that you just had the nerve to cheat me out of?
No, go away.
Well, all right. Now you let me get at her. I'm going to get back what belongs
No,
to me.
you let her go. I can deal with her.
Come on, Rose, let's depart. If she needs the money that badly, let her keep it. It's no credit to give her the thrashing she deserves, honey. The poor trash.
She's not full of trash. She's got heaps of plunder and money to burn.
White trash, nothing. I'm from the heart of old Virginia. My name is Mrs. Bridget Patterson. And I'm telling you because I'm proud of where I'm from and the family I belong to.
I'll tell you what, Mrs. B. If you give them all their money back, then you get all the aristocrats again.
Oh. All right. Well, here's your money. No, I'm not going to give you anything raising Cain at Miss Hicks's lovely tea. Why, you don't know how to accept Southern hospitality. You're just ordinary.
Oh, let me get out of her. What must I do? I'm doing my best, Mr. D. Mr. D. Mr. D. Mr. D. Mr. D. Mr. D. Mr. D.
Here's your pop, Teddy.
I'm afraid I don't want it now.
Well, what's wrong with it?
I'm full of tea.
Tea? Where'd you get tea from? You've been thinking and talking to yourself again, huh? Well, I gotta get on back to the house. Got a couple of little old jobs to do tomorrow. I see you. Here now, Della?
I seen her run and hide.
Yes, I seen her too, Aunt Matt. And I'm going to take care of this my own way.
You do that, Anna. It's your Christian duty.
Oh, it's getting so late, Aunt
Oh,
Matt.
I ain't aiming to stay. The Lord be with you, Anna. And good night.
Teddy, come right here now. I ain't going to chase you. Come here. Aunt Matt told me you had on that dress. Now go right in the house and take it off. What you want to do, ruin it for sure? Mrs. Patterson said she paid a heap of money for that dress, and you were about to snag it parading around the yard. Look at the hem. It's plain filthy.
Mama.
And Aunt Matt telling me, worrying me about you and Willie B going off wild-like together.
We were just play talking, Mama.
Oh, what's wrong with you staring off into space like that? Gracious, you know I got all this wash to do. And you ain't even set Mrs. Patterson's clothes for soaking.
Mama, I just saw Miss Patterson in my mind.
Mrs. Patterson. Aside from remembering I gave birth to you, she don't know the difference between you and them train whistles, child. Teddy, don't rhyme.
Mama, don't bury your head.
Tired, tears through. My very bones say a word.
Mama, what makes people cheat?
What's that, baby? Well, I don't know what makes other people do anything. It's you that worries me, Teddy. I don't want you cheating yourself. These fine doings of Mrs. Patterson you set your heart on. Why, she's just holding on like everybody else. Sometimes she'll wander lost through that big old house, looking for herself. Sometimes I do, and feel lost. Wondering what the next day can do that ain't been done already.
Mama, you lonesome? Me too. You there, Miss Bolt? That's good.
How are you this evening, baby? Glad to see you making yourself useful under your own willpower. Feeling good?
All right, I guess.
Look what Mrs. Patterson sent you.
I don't want them old rags.
This is a good wool dress.
Them old rags? Sure to pay you something. You won't have to spend so much time mending them old clothes.
You talk like that about Mrs. Patterson, child, you must be sick. When'd you get so uppity you can't use these here things?
For once in my life, I'd like to have a store-bought dress.
What you gonna get it with?
Peach tree leaves.
Now, don't get smart. I'm sorry the day I brought you all them old books from Mrs. Patterson. When I was your age, I was glad to get a dress made out of sugar sacking.
Terry, my mind keeps hauling me in one direction. It says you gotta get away. You gotta go. Hurry up and go.
Willie B., I was just thinking. I ought to go with you. Take my high school money and go with you.
I got $14 saved. That ought to keep me till I find me a
I
job.
could get me a job too, Willie B. I know a lot for a girl. I can subtract, add, read pretty good. I remember what I hear.
Oh, you know you couldn't do that. You know you can't go.
Just answer me why not.
You're too young.
Why am I too young? Wasn't Mama my age when I was born? She told me so herself. Please let me go with you, Willie B. Pool our money.
How much you got altogether?
I don't know exactly. Let's go see. $24 in bills and 2 in change. That's $26. And you're 14. That's $40.
Hey, that's a whole heap of money. Come on, then. Let's go.
Well, you can't just go off just like that, Willie B. You gotta make plans and schemes.
Why are you breathing so hard?
Oh, my chest just got caught up a little.
You want to wait and plan it for Saturday when your mama works late?
No! No, you go by the store and get a loaf of bread and 4 pounds of bologna, because we might be traveling for days. Oh.
What's wrong?
Just a little weak in my knees. Boy, this is a big undertaking.
Now, Teddy, dress up good and warm, because it's going to be cold in that boxcar.
Okay.
I'll take care of the food end. But don't bring the jug.
No, just hold it up the same until we leave. And don't forget to make them sandwiches good and thick.
I will.
Willie B., you're going to take your things with you? I'm going to take my elementary geography.
Oh, no, we got to travel light and fast. Hoboing is rough.
Oh.
And, Teddy, don't think about it too much, because if you do, you'll change your mind.
All right.
Oh, and, Teddy,
Yeah?
there's something else I got to say.
But not now, Willie B. Tell me later.
Teddy, I got to say this. You remember yesterday when you was going to kiss me and change your mind? Do you know what I mean?
That. What?
Teddy, if we're traveling together, it's got to be really together, like man and wife. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I said all right. Go on now.
No, I don't think you do get me.
I get you. I think. Like what Aunt Matt was saying to you. I'll get some of that, I think.
Maybe after we both get jobs, Teddy, and we don't have to hold our money so close, we can get married.
All right.
Teddy.
Willie B., can't we talk about
Don't
it later?
rear back.
Please, Willie B., can't we talk about it later?
Okay. It's our understanding. I won't be long.
I can't see you. I don't got time to look.
What's all this talk? I can't hit myself over here.
I'm going to Chicago right now.
Ah. How about doing that little errand for me, Sylvain?
Gladly, Mr. D, gladly.
Where's he going?
Taking my pleasure in a little evening stroll. There's a few dark, blue, puffy clouds chasing each other around the skies.
Sylvanus.
He'll be back.
But I won't be here to greet him. Why, you can't tell Mama. Mama can't see him. He's in my mind's eye.
You look like you're set to do some tall traveling.
And you got it in my mind's eye, too. I'm asking for the last time. Oh, I thank you very much for the tea and things, so.
Teddy, you haven't so much as said good evening.
Well, I'm in a fearful hurry.
I sure hate to see you go. Have you thought out all the angles on this Chicago deal?
Looks like it, don't it?
Well, I've had my Chicago experiences, but I'd advise you not to go.
You did all right.
Yeah, but look here, I'm up in this tree.
And I know why. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm getting rid of Blackjack, and I'm putting my mind on business matters.
You climb up in this tree, honey, and I'll whisper some Chicago secrets I don't even want Mr. D to hear.
No.
Can't you reason with her, Mr. D?
Oh, she got her mind set on that train whistle. Got an idea it rides like it sounds.
But, Teddy, that ain't so. And it's cold up there. Girl, them winds howl across them lakes and things and lash you like a whip. All you can do is keep some clothes on to cover your goosebumps.
I don't
and
care.
it'll take the shine out of your eyes, too.
I don't care about nothing. You people got to get out of my mind's eye and leave me alone.
The best thing you can do, honey, is to put Chicago right out of your mind.
No, leave me alone. Get out of my mind's eye.
Now, just watch that little rock there, Mrs. Patterson. Don't bruise your dainty aristocratic feet.
I suppose these imported Belgian lace shoes are impractical for strolling, but they're so very right for summer. Good evening, Teddy.
Leave me alone.
What did you say, Teddy? I didn't quite catch the drift. Now, my dear, I came the moment Sylvanus told me. You just mustn't contemplate leaving. We couldn't allow that. No, certainly not. Mais non, as the French say. Why, what would the local social scene be without you? Oh. What a hole your departure would make in our existence. Now, you must think of yourself as a necessary addition to the 400.
I used to could count 1,044, but now I can only count to 3. Can't count 104.
We've such a madly gay winter planned.
And that's a pile of parties, if you ask me.
And I'm thinking of giving the ball a show myself. Bright-colored lanterns hanging from trees, big spread of food, and them special eggs I've been telling you about for the best costume.
That sure sounds good to me.
Yep, I'm going to do it up fine, make enough dazzle to put out the moon.
No, leave me alone. I won't close my eyes tonight unless you promise to stay with us. I'll give a whole steak dinner for you if you like.
Do you hear? Do you hear? Friends, and all the notions in the world for nothing.
A winter debutante.
Fulfillment, Teddy, fulfillment.
And all you got to do is sit on your porch and breathe.
But now sit there on the porch, just like them old men down the road. One winter passes, and another summer. Everybody knowing just who you are.
You all set, Teddy?
You make them sandwiches good and thick?
Yeah, that thing. Now, Teddy, you know what a boxcar looks like?
Yeah.
We're going to jump in the first open one that comes along. And be sure when you get in, don't cough or sneeze, don't even hardly breathe, because if anybody hears us, then we're fished.
Willie B, are you sure this freight train's going to Chicago?
Oh, I made sure of that.
How much time we got?
About half an hour, but we better get on down to the junction, hide in the tall weeds by the track.
I sure hate leaving Mama. But she'll understand. When I get me a job and get all fine and come back and get her.
Yeah, I hate leaving, too, but I put all that behind me. Come on, gal, this ain't no time to tarry.
Yeah. Go and keep going. If I lose my nerve now, I'll never get away.
Anna? Anna, are you in there? Teddy? Teddy, answer me now. Teddy? My, ain't they pretty? They got such a nice flash. Shame I ain't down at Minnie's where Anna must be. I just had to have me these beads. Now, what other plunder can I use? Use safety pins. Lord, I don't know what makes me do this. Can't seem to help it. Can't keep my hands off other people's things. Might as well take this toilet water while I'm here. Might only smell good though. Oh, what else?
Up in Chicago.
We missed that freighter.
Well, northbound, Miss Patterson.
You would still know things. I'm going to tell Mama, too.
Oh, no, you don't, miss. You ain't going nowhere. And as for you, when he be getting ready to take this child across the state line, and all to do with you is very nice.
I'll come back and get you soon. I'm right here to tell you.
Help somebody, help.
Here, I can hear screams and cries all the way down the road. Teddy, what's going on?
She got my head of steel. Look at her.
This young'un, just like her warns you, and Willie B getting ready to run off north. If I hadn't happened by here, she'd be gone. Willie B's done gone
Teddy,
on.
what's
And
she
good
talking
riddance
about?
to bad rubbish.
Why are you dressed like that in the heat of summer? Was you trying to run off?
Yes.
your forgiveness. But what's got into my child?
Don't ask her forgiveness. Fan her tail good.
You stay out of this, Aunt Matt. This is between us two.
If she was mine, I'd have kill her.
If Mommy said you'd give me all away, nothing not kill, nothing not steal. That's some holy quotations for you.
You hear this, child?
How come you wasn't down with poor Minnie today, Aunt Matt? You were so all-fired interested in the sick. What made you come out here in the first place?
And we were getting the money and I came back to get it. She was rummaging around the trunk and everything. If you don't believe me, come along.
Aunt Matt, give me back the red beads.
Anna Hicks,
Give me back the red beads, I say. Now, Aunt Matt, go on without saying anything. I want to talk to Teddy by ourselves.
What I want to say...
Not a word! Just go on!
Don't holler at me. You could thank me. You owe me a debt of gratitude. The devil is up with the night, and he's after all sinners in this land. Have you been sailing?
Yes, Teddy.
I'm just like him, I guess.
Who? Like who, Teddy?
Like Papa, whose name I don't carry. I know I'm a bastard. I know it now.
That's a word I don't ever want to hear you using, child.
Oh, they all do it around here.
It's my fault for not telling you. I wanted to spare you something.
I ain't blaming it on nobody.
It's the truth what you heard. Sammy and me wasn't married. I want you to say that to yourself over and over and learn a lesson from it. Sammy and me wasn't married.
Why did you tell me he was up in Chicago, dressing all fine, gold watch and everything?
The reason I told you that was because of your feelings on finery and the way you like Chicago.
When I get married, sure enough married, that is. But ain't gonna be to no country man.
I got my faults, Teddy. But I work hard to keep a roof over your head. And here I've been saving for your graduation. You mean to tell me you'd take that money I work like a dog for and run off?
Yes, sir.
This would have been one crazy night for me if you had. You see, baby, I got nothing against Willie B. I think he had a good, kind feeling for you right along. But don't you see, if you'd got up there to Chicago together...
Yes, I guess so.
Well, remember, all is forgiven. I just want you to grow up fine and better than me. Well, you had enough excitement for one evening. Did you have a nice supper?
I'm so glad you're on that train, Willie B. I'm so glad you escaped. Willie B's gone out of my life forever.
Teddy. Teddy, come here a minute.
Mommy, you're so tight and you still bend over and sew for me.
Baby, you're going to have the prettiest dress at the graduation. Here, let me pin it on you.
Mama, I want to ask you something. How long do you think Cousin Minnie will last?
Oh, I wouldn't give her another daylight, poor soul.
Do you think she can still tell what goes on around her?
Oh, every now and then, just for a minute.
Mama, I want to give Cousin Minnie this dress.
Mrs. Patterson's ball dress that's seen the glory?
Well, you can't wear anybody else's glory, Mama. You've got to put on your own. Cousin Minnie should rest in silk when she's gone.
But Mrs. Patterson...
Oh, I don't suppose Miss Patterson is the be-all and end-all of the world.
What's that you got in your hand?
The last rum cookie.
There. Take those crumbs and don't ever come back here.
It won't take me long, Mama. I'm coming back. That's right, Big Dixie. Just keep blowing your whistle. 'Cause one day I'm gonna ride you out of this dusty semi place and it won't be no boxcar. I'll be Miss Theodora Hicks in person, riding fast and in her own style, right smack into the heart of Chicago.